Okay, today they announced a little bit of information about the upcoming sixth major, and that is the fact that it will be taking place in Sweden. Originally, it was supposed to take place somewhere in Asia, and I'm unsure if that was Japan or South Korea or elsewhere. I think they released a charm for it early, and there was like a Legion outfit or something to go along with the event, and you can still purchase that or whatever, but it will be taking place in Sweden instead, and it'll be in a place called this. I don't know how to pronounce that. It's got the two dots over the A, which has a word for it, but not that I don't know what it is. I think it's pronounced like Govel or something. I think it makes that O sound when it has what's the A with the thing above it, which you can comment below if you know what it's called. I could have looked up what it was, I guess, but I'll be ignorant like most other people, I'm assuming. So Sweden, November 8th through the 14th. This is the November major. And as of yet, I don't think any teams are 100% officially qualified for it from any of the regions. But there are some teams that are pretty close. And we'll take a look at which teams might make it or are close to making it or will likely make it and all that stuff. And just a couple more notes. It is going to be the same format as the 6 Mexico major. So again, there will be 16 teams divided up into 4 groups. And I suppose since it is the same format, it's going to have that seeding of 1, 2, 3, 4, where seed 1 is one region, and then each other seed is from the other 3 regions. So it'll be like the first seed from EUL plus the second seed from NA plus the third seed from LATAM plus the 4th seed of APAC, that in some order, and then repeated for the other 3 groups. And then the 2 best performing teams from each group will advance to the playoffs, which will be best 2 out of 3 with no lower brackets. So, there'll be 4 quarterfinals matches, 2 semifinals matches, and then a best 3 out of 5 grand final. And additionally, there will be no on-site audience, which a lot of people are upset about or think did not need to be the case, but it is what it is. So no audience. So in that way, and in the way of the competitive format, very similar to the 6 Mexico major. Let's just take a look at first NA. Right, so which teams will be there and which teams won't? Well, we don't know anything for sure, but it looks very likely that it will be the Sonic, Space Station, and Oxygen going along with one other team. I think it's pretty unlikely that any of them get knocked out of there. They need to not get almost any more points, and then they need 2 teams to pass them, right? Because they are currently top 3, and as long as you are in the top 4, you will go to the major. So they have to get one of them or more of them need to get bumped out of the top 4. So i.e., 2 teams above them. It is possible. Dark Zero's only played 4 games, and each team needs to play 8 games in total. So they still have 12 points on the table. They can get up to 18 points. TSM has played 5 games, so they have 9 points left. They can get up to 16. So yeah, I guess any of these teams could stop getting points, really. Sonics and Oxygen do need to play each other, so it's not possible for all of them to get no more points, but it is exceedingly unlikely that any of them will not get any more points based on the way that they played this season thus far. So I'm going to imagine it's going to be those 3, and then either TSM or Dark Zero. It could potentially be anyone except for Astralis. I don't think has a chance. Yeah, right, because they've played 6 games, so they have 2 games left. They can only get 6 points, so 9 points puts them, I guess, above every other team, but I can't imagine there's any combination of ways to distribute the points to where no other team has at least 10 points or 9 points and the tiebreaker over them. So yeah, probably not Astralis, but I think all the way down to XSET, there is a possibility of them going. But based on recent and long-standing track records put together along with the current standings, I'm going to imagine it's Dark Zero or TSM. Which one? That's up to you. I mean, Dark Zero is currently 1 point behind TSM, but they have played 1 fewer game than TSM. And also Dark Zero has the head-to-head, so TSM needs to end the stage with at least 1 more point, which they currently have. So if they gain the same number of points as each other, it'll still be TSM. But if Dark Zero gets 1 more point than TSM gets, it will be Dark Zero. So that's NA, right? Still a lot of possibilities, but if you're a fan of these guys, it's looking quite good for you. Let's move on to EU. Oh, why is it not? Why can't I switch? Oh, that's why. I was clicking the wrong button. So, right, these are the EUL standings. And BDS is currently undefeated. They are beasting. They've gone to overtime only 1 time. I can't imagine them not going. Are they actually qualified? I guess, is it possible for other teams to pass them? Because I looked at the thing for the November major and it didn't say any teams were on there yet, but maybe these guys are qualified and they haven't quite made it. But So everyone's played 6 games, and everybody will play 9 games by the end of the season. So I guess, I mean, yeah, like, I don't know if any of these teams play each other, but, you know, 21 points, 20 points, 19 points if they all win out and BDS loses out, which again is very unlikely based on what has happened, but still a possibility. So yeah, I guess BDS is not quite qualified. And so you could see who the top 4 are. These are the most likely to go, I suppose: BDS, Rogue, Kavana, and Empire. But Vitality and Virtus Pro are just right behind Empire, and then even Na'Vi and G2 aren't that far behind. They're only 1 game worth of points behind Empire. So it's possible for any of these guys to break in. I would imagine Heroic, I mean, they can get 9 points, but it seems pretty unlikely. And maybe Seeker can make it, but I would imagine all the way down to 8th place have still an okay chance of making it. G2 have been struggling thus far, but they did just get that win against Rogue. Na'Vi, I guess they've been struggling too. I mean, they're 2-4 strictly on wins and losses. So not up to the current, you know, the recent Na'Vi standard, but they still have a possibility for making it. I would imagine, I don't know, I guess these 4, but I don't really watch much UL, so I couldn't tell you for certain. Yeah, those are, you know, some of the possibilities. Let's look at LATAM. And you might have just watched the Caliber Jacob video recently, in which he talked about how terrible the LATAM system is for progressing through the year and qualifications for majors. It's been a long-standing issue. It's not a new thing, but he's bringing a little bit more light to it, making a few more people aware of it. And if you did not watch that video for some reason, I imagine most people that watch his videos, most people that watch my videos also watch his, right? But maybe not. Basically, it is the entire year, the entire season's worth of points that count during each stage. So there's no reset. So in stage 1, it's the same as the other regions because there is nothing previous to it. Whoever has the most point, the 6th team, okay, it's not exactly the same as the other regions because they have a slightly different system, but the top 6 teams from Brazil, along with the top 2 teams from Mexico and the top 2 teams from South America outside of Brazil, they go to a 10-man or 10-team rather bracket, and they play it out, and the top 4 teams get to go to the major. So you need to be in the top 6 of the Brazil League, which is of course the main one. When people talk about LATAM, this is the one they are generally talking about. Yeah, you need to be in the top 6 to have a chance to qualify for the top 4. But the top 6 is based on the entire season. So, right, I don't know who's been struggling that much lately. Like, I think well, Nip, I think, has, and I don't think FaZe has been as good recently as they were early in the season, and now Liquid and One and Fury, I think, are doing pretty well. But these other guys, they did not even have a shot because they had so few points from the previous stages. 2 stages worth of points. So 2/3 of the points that are deciding who gets in the major were already used for, you know, the first stage is used 2 times. It is 100% of what determines if you go to the tournament in the first stage, and it is 50% of what determines if you go to the tournament is the Copa Elite 6. If you go to that in stage 2, and then it's still 1/3 of the points is just from stage 1. Like, it's used so much. It's actually insane. And they of course have the superior relegation system compared to NA. EU does the same thing where it is based on the entire season, and this makes sense to do. And I think in Caliber Jacob, he failed to note, and I suppose probably because it's slightly speculative, it's not 100% confirmed, but because NA was supposed to be a 10-team league, and they have just been on 9, I think there were probably plans, or at least they were hoping or thought it might be a possibility, to get a 10th team mid-season, so, you know, during stage 2 or stage 3 at the start of one of those stages. So, of course, it'd be unfair for them to come into that with 0 points from the previous stages going towards relegations. So that left them with, if they thought that was going to happen, no choice but to make relegations based solely on the last stage. And it does have, there's not 0 merit to have it being based on just the last stage, because there are roster changes and teams get better or teams get worse or whatever. It makes sense to have it based on the last stage in a way, but perhaps a weighting system or something, you know, give points weight, like less weight given to the points from the first stage and more to the second stage, and the most amount of weight given to points earned in the third stage. You could maybe do it like that, but probably this is the more consistent way, the way that LATAM and EU do it, where it's just all the points from all of the stages, figure out relegations. But for it to be for the major, where other regions do it differently, and anyways, it just doesn't make much sense. You can check out his video if you want a little bit more in-depth explanation, but I think you probably grasp what I'm trying to convey to you there. it's a questionable system. But as you can see, they've only played, you know, however many play days this stage, but they already have 5 of the 6 teams going to the qualification tournament decided. It just comes down to if MIBR or if Black Dragons are going to go. These 3 teams, INTZ, Santos, and W7M, they don't have a chance to go. And from there, right, it's pretty much always, it might have always been Brazilian teams that win that tournament. You know, the top 4, like South American and Mexican teams, have not been able to go to majors. And the previous major, it was Liquid, Team 1, Furia, and NIP. Unclear who it's going to be this time. You know, maybe MIBR will make it, maybe FaZe will make it, maybe NIP won't make it because they have been struggling as of late. They got actually popped by Team 1, you might have seen, in that 7-0. And yeah, they didn't do that well at the Mexico major. They didn't make it to the playoffs. So, right, yeah, not much speculation to do for this one because, I mean, 5 teams are locked in and it's just either this one or this one. I mean, MIBR is only 1 point up ahead of Black Dragon, so I guess it could be either team. Could go either way. And I am not going to look at APAC because their system is even more convoluted. Maybe not as questionable, but they have like the APAC North and APAC South, and then they also have their own qualification tournament, but I'm not as versed in it as I am in this one, and I don't even know about this one that much, except for I do understand how this works. So, thusly, I explained it to you. Finally, since they also, I think this was today they put this out, they kind of reviewed what has been going on lately with changes and stuff and what was in the test server, and now upcoming for tomorrow, actually, today being October 5th, this will release on the test server on Wednesday, October 6th, a Year 6 Season 3.3 test server. So they aren't going into specifics here, but they are mentioning a few operators, guns, and gadgets they're changing. So Capcan's entry denial device rework. Don't know what that's going to be, but hopefully it's not really annoying and terrible. Yeah, Capcan is pretty annoying now, but he's not that good, so he's not you don't see him that much to be annoyed by him. Recoil tweaks to MX4 and P10. These are the Roni and the Storm. This would be Alibi submachine gun and Mozzie and Aruni submachine gun. And I think people are a bit nervous because these are some fun guns to use, and you might call them crutch guns maybe. I'm quite the Alibi enjoyer, if I'm being honest, and recoil tweaks, I can't imagine these mean buffs, considering these are 2 of the best guns on defense. These have to mean nerfs. The P10 has almost no recoil, and the MX4 doesn't have much recoil, but it is, I think, noticeably more than the P10 Roni. So we'll see what they do here. Yeah, and then gadget tweak to hard breach charge. I don't know what that's going to be either. We'll see. Certainly they could make it more useful because it sees very little play now, and part of that is because of the operators that was on. I think they intended it to be a very useful option to have, and it is sometimes, but not really, because throwables are just so good, so necessary. But yeah, hard breach charge only being on operators like, Cap, Tau, Montaigne, and then even more questionable operators from there. It's on like Nook, but you have frags on Nook, so you would never take a hard breach charge. And then tweaks to 5 different operators. So Castle, Clash, Melusi, Oryx, and Romai. So, I mean, it just says tweaks. It's not reworks like for Capcan's gadget, but I mean, I'll be curious to see because Melusi and Romai are pretty good operators, but the other 3 aren't seen much. There are definitely Castle strats and Clash strats that teams will pull out occasionally, and then Oryx is just every once in a while, and on maybe like coastline teams will pull him out, but he's not that good. I imagine the Oryx thing they might just make it so he takes no damage when he goes through walls instead of 5, which was previously 10. Clash, I don't know. Hopefully Clash gets less annoying. Castle, I don't know. Maybe juice up Castle a little bit, and I really don't know what they're going to do for the other 2. Maybe just some sort of stat changes to the discs and the Banshees. Yeah, we'll have to see. So I guess I'll make a video about that. And yeah, so that was just some of the announcements they made today with the major coming. So excited for that. That's in just over a month. The group stage will start a month and 3 days, I suppose. And yeah, I'm also looking forward to the test server changes. Like if hopefully none of these are just absolutely asinine, and hopefully they're not meaningless either. They're pretty cool changes. But I suppose I'll cover that in the future, and either later today or tomorrow I will have predictions for NAL Playday number 7, right? 7 coming up? All right, I will catch you in the next video.